Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Somehow we find ourselves at the very end of July. And as I have said many times at this point, the concept of time has just completely ceased to make sense. I think probably to most of us. Everything in the world just paired with the COVID time warp, and days and weeks and months and years go by in the blink of an eye, and maybe that's also just like getting older. I'm not sure. Anyways, today we are doing something that I don't think I've done since like literally my first video, which is put on my everyday face. And as I said in that very first video, this is my everyday face. It is the face that I wake up with every morning and the face that I go to bed with every night. And the point of my everyday face when it comes to makeup is really just to enhance my natural features. And it's very rare that my everyday face tends to be, extremely colorful, bold, or vibrant unless I'm feeling some kind of way or in a very particular mood. So let's not, have any kind of expectations of grandeur today. It's going to be a lot of pinks and browns. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, especially when we are in the deep center of summer. It's very hot. As we've discussed very recently, it's very humid. We have a very kind of damp heat here in Southern Ontario. So aside from my personal preferences, which is to be hot and humid 365 days a year, for the most part, I think it's safe to say that we prefer to have less on our face at this time of year than, anything super heavy or super elaborate that's going to kind of melt and or slip off. And as I just said the word, I'm also just going to take this opportunity to identify this subject matter that we're going to kind of sink our teeth into today, because of course I have something to talk about. And that is kind of taking this opportunity as we're at the end of July, as we're kind of gearing up towards slowly, hopefully, that kind of like back to school energy. I have just been spending the last week or so kind of reevaluating my year, or rather evaluating my year so far and reevaluating some of my personal goals and taking a really hard look at my kind of current expectations, and also kind of recalibrating the way that I think about the word expectations and the vibes that tend to surface when we dare to think about or utter the sentiment of expectations. So that's kind of where things are going to be at today. Hopefully it amounts to a lovely everyday face and a pretty decent conversation. If you're new here, should have said this already, but hi, hello, my name is Alanna. I try very hard to put out a video once a week, and on this channel, we just really indulge and engage in real girl shit. So that is everything from just, being ourselves, self-expression, indulging in kind of green/clean beauty and skincare, having real conversations, giving ourselves a place to just kind of let go and chill and relax, or dig deep into really important things that are happening with, me, the world, ourselves, us as a community. And once a month, as a pure form of escapism, I like to do a gaming video, which is pretty much always something to do with The Sims 4. So yes, if you're new here, hi, welcome. I would absolutely love for you to become part of the LAN fam. So if you make it all the way through this video and you like what you've seen here today, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Okay, let's get right into it. I'm gonna do something a little bit rare, which I have been indicating in a lot of my recent makeup videos, but I actually haven't been doing, but I thought that we would just do it for shits and giggles today because that's the mood I was feeling in. And that's actually putting on my skincare. So I had just a teeny tiny bit of makeup on today, just a little bit of concealer, a little bit of blush. So I didn't have to do a full face wash at the end of my day. And if that is confusing for you, just a quick pause and sidebar, I always film at night, which means I usually wash off the face of makeup that I've been wearing for the full day so that I have a fresh canvas when I come on camera. However, usually that means I've already put on my skincare, so when I come on camera I can just get right into kind of the meat of the makeup, but I thought that it would be just fun. Show you what I actually have been putting on my face every day. I've alluded to it, I've mentioned these products, but now you actually get to see them IRL. So my moisturizer for the past, I don't know how many months, has been the In Beauty Slushy, which I think I've said time and again is an immense favorite. I think it was in my last favorites video. And as you can see, I have used quite a significant amount of it. I typically, after I wash my face and use a little bit of toner, I just do 2 pumps. And I just let that kind of melt right into my face. And it's just truly such a delightful, super hydrating, but super lightweight formula. It's definitely gonna be a repurchase if I decide to repurchase from In Beauty, but I have to import it because I'm in Canada and it sucks. So once that settles down, really soaks in, because my skin was super dry and not just freshly washed, it's gonna soak in a little bit quicker, obviously, because my skin was kind of asking for some hydration. But usually in the morning I have to kind of give like 1 to 2 minutes before I put my sunscreen on. And the sunscreen I have been using is the new Kapari Antioxidant Base Shield Mineral SPF 30. I still don't know how I feel about it. I think I said this in my favorites video that I will report back once it's done and I do my next empties. I think if I was really, really, really pale, like a really, really, really pale white girl, this would be without a doubt, and I had drier skin than I do, without a doubt, this would be a top favorite. So I just took 2 pumps there. If I was actually gonna be out in the sun, I would obviously use a little bit more, but I just want you to see the application. Because it's a mineral sunscreen and I don't have a porcelain complexion, you know, it's not there. It's not sheer. The technology is almost there, but it doesn't completely disappear into my skin the way it would if I had a paler complexion or if I was using a chemical sunscreen. And you know, one day we're gonna get there. And obviously I could also use like a tinted mineral sunscreen, which I do have, but I was just so excited when this product hit the market. It was really highly rated. All of the ads looked great. They were using models that had deeper skin tones, so it just seemed so promising. And I'm not sure. Again, I think I would be a little bit happier if I had a drier skin type as well, because I have kind of combination oily, normal to oily, I don't really know. It changes throughout the year. It changes based on what I've eaten, how much water I'm drinking, you know. But if I had super, super dry skin, I think my skin would just soak it right up. But it's also why I've been pairing the In Beauty Slushy with this sunscreen, because if I used anything heavier or an oil to moisturize, I would be just a oil slick within, you know, like 10 minutes of applying. So not the greatest. I'm gonna go in and start buffing around some concealer because I do have some dark circles. I have this little fun blemish which decided to rear its ugly head yesterday, and I immediately thwacked down with some retinol last night. And as per usual, I just have, like, you know, a little bit of redness around my nose and the little teeny tiny congestion bumpies and things that I have a tendency to pick at on my chin. But we're just going to buff those all away with my slowly depleting Ritual Defee Ethereal, I can never remember, it's the longest name. The Ethereal Veil Conceal and Cover in the shade Naiad. But I mean, again, let's talk about the satisfaction we get when you hit pan this way. It's just delightful. It makes me so excited, brings me so much joy. And I'm just gonna use this pretty much consistently. I'm gonna leave my other concealers in their respective little drawers on my vanity until this is absolutely unusable, because I just really want to be able to put this to bed. It has been serving me very, very well for a very long time, and I'm ready to move on. And on that note, before I dive into my topic of conversation on the subject of concealers, if you paid attention at all to the REM Beauty launches, that again, that's Ariana Grande's brand. By now, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I love Ariana Grande. You know that I have pretty much participated in every single chapter drop of the REM Beauty brand so far, and really have kind of yet to be disappointed. I think the only thing I didn't really like, or it's not that I didn't like it, it's just I wouldn't repurchase it because there are better ones out there, was the mascara. But otherwise, I really enjoy her products, and the keystone of the chapter 4 drop is 60 shades of concealer. 60. Meanwhile, there are brands out there that are still dropping concealers in like 5 shades. We know that that is not acceptable anymore in this industry. And so for Ariana Grande to come out with her chapter 4 launch with 60 shades of concealer is absolutely brilliant. Like, well done. I'm so excited. It dropped today. So the day that I'm filming this is the 28th of July. It's a Thursday. The drop happened, I think, at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and you bet your butt that I participated, and I bought myself, well, several shades, because I am still having this like existential decision paralysis around my skin tone. I have absolutely no idea unless I'm actually in store and can swatch things 5,000 times, and even then I'm still like, ooh, I don't know. I end up in like a full identity crisis. What is my skin tone? I don't know. So I bought 3 different shades, probably overkill, but I think the beauty with the formula that she's put out is that I can kind of mix and match and customize a little bit. And she actually did put out, I think it's shades 1 and 59 in the collection. So there's a white and a black, so that you can get as creative as you want with shades. So if in that 60 shade range, there's still something that doesn't quite match your skin tone or achieve what you want it to achieve with either the white or the black pots, you can kind of get creative, do a little mixing, and come up with something that's perfect. And I just think that's really cool. Anyways, that's just a sidebar. Obviously, whenever that arrives, it could be weeks from now, because again, I live in Canada and everything that I want and love seems to come from the States. I will definitely be talking to you about what I think when that arrives. And maybe by that time, this will be like finished, so I can actually open a new concealer without being racked with guilt. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I think I am concealed enough. I honestly probably went a little bit overboard just with the blending, because like, where am I going? It's almost 9 o'clock at night. But it's just so easy to get swept up in the blend when you're chatting. Next, just to get it out of the way, and you know, again, because I'm not really caring about my brows these days, I am just going to be putting on my absolutely now disgusting and despicable NYX brow glue. I really need to get rid of this, but there's still product in here, and again, I don't want to, you know, be racked with guilt for throwing something away that is still useful. But it is actually becoming more useless because it's just like gunky and it's not even clear anymore. It's just like kind of brown. Ugh. Back to today's topic, which is just like revisiting my expectations mid-year. And if you recall, if you watched my word of the year video, which I'll link, my word of the year for 2022 was very simple, very high level, and it was love. And basically everything that the word love encompasses. Self-love, romantic love, familial love, gratitude sits underneath love as far as I'm concerned, self-acceptance, self-expression, all of these things kind of, for me, were encompassed by the word love. And I have just really been coming more and more into my own over the past couple of years, so it just seemed fitting. But I think part of that for me, and this again is something I've kind of been mulling over the course of the last few weeks, but especially the last few days, as I've really been like busting my butt at work, like pretty much breaking my back for my job and experiencing some newness in, you know, the relationship space. It really struck me that I think especially for women, the idea of expectations and having expectations is really met with, I think, a lot of disdain outwardly, but also inwardly. And it's, again, not just in relation to, like, you know, romantic relationships. We'll get there, but I'm pretty sure when you think of like romantic relationships and expectations, we're all just sitting there cringing because we know what it's like to have expectations and end up disappointed because of those. So personally speaking, I know that my expectations and my standards reached a point where they were all subterranean. It was all just so low for fear of disappointment, for fear of being let down, for fear of being, you know, a potential turnoff, because heaven forbid we have expectations about the situations that we get into, the way that we're treated, the way that we move about in the world, the amount of space that we take up. The idea of expectations, and again, this is obviously very specific to romantic relationships, but I think we kind of need to start breaking down those walls because it does tie so deeply into the concept of love, especially self-love, especially romantic love, especially familial love. And for the longest time, again, my expectations have been so low. And where this ties into, you know, my professional life is I work so hard, break my back. I love, for the most part, what I do. I think we all, you know, have ebbs and flows in how we feel about our jobs, because when things are very stressful, or, you know, you're up against hard deadlines, or there are a lot of expectations put on you, it gets stressful. We can get a little resentful. We can get a little cranky and grumpy. We're humans. It's normal. But on the flip side of that, my expectations for how I was treated in the workplace or how I was acknowledged for certain projects, it was very low. I have always been the person that was like, I want to be acknowledged, but when the acknowledgement happens, I again am like cringing and kind of leaning away from it rather than leaning in. Why? Why do I not allow myself, why do we, I think, as a whole, as a group of people, because I know there's a lot of people out there watching my channel, engaging with my content, who have a lot of similarities with me. You guys relate to me and my life experiences in one way or another. Otherwise, I don't think you'd be here. But why do we cringe away from those moments of well-deserved acknowledgement, praise? Why are expectations for ourselves and the way that we move about in the world so low? We need to change that. We need to change the way that we approach the term expectations, because I think we should actually have higher standards. I think as a whole, we should actually have higher expectations. We've reached this point collectively, universally, globally, where our standard, our baseline expectations is just for things to be shitty. For us to be treated poorly, for us to never actually be able to achieve the things that we want to achieve, to never actually grab onto our dreams and get there. You know, everything becomes a pipe dream because the expectation is that we can shoot for that star, but we're always gonna fall short of it. Yes, there's still the discourse around, you know, shoot for the stars, shoot for the moon, dream big. But the underlying expectation of permitting people to have those dreams is that they will never be achieved. And I think there are people out there in the world that are absolutely subverting that idea, subverting the expectation that we'll never achieve what we want. I'm sure you all have friends who are pushing against those walls that seem to close in on us more and more and more. Am I making sense? I'm not sure. Let's take a little bit of a breath. Go back to makeup for a second. So for bronzer on a daily basis, I have either been using my Anika Baked Mineral Bronzer in the shade Sunbeam, which I have been absolutely loving. It's a really, really beautiful powder formula. I really like the tone. It's very natural. And on the days where it is a little hotter, it is a little more humid, I'm feeling a little bit more sticky, the powder is the one that I go for. But if I'm going out somewhere or away for a weekend and I don't want to necessarily have this like kind of chunky compact, I have been bringing along my Danessa Myricks Vision Flush in the shade Toasted Almond, which really has a similar tone and is just overall a beautiful formula. I think I've used the Anika a number of times already in my past couple of videos, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the Danessa Myricks, and we're just going to lay some of that product down. I don't want to move my bangs, so I'm not going to put it on my forehead, but if this was truly an everyday get ready with me and it was the morning, I would be putting some on my forehead, despite the fact that no one sees my forehead in my Zoom meetings. But right now I'm too lazy. But oh my goodness, I really do love this product. It just blends out so beautifully. It melts into the skin. I'm not sure how much this is showing up on camera, but the white cast from that sunscreen on me really doesn't go away. I could be just being, you know, very, very particular, very picky. I definitely noticed the contrast between like a bronzer of this shade and kind of this skin where I didn't touch anything with a concealer. Like the concealer is here, so you can kind of see this part. And like, sure, if I was wearing a full face of foundation, I would have a completely even skin tone. That wouldn't be the case. But we know that I don't really do full face of foundation. It's not a part of my personal beauty routine to use foundation. I want to be able to conceal blemishes, dark circles, you know, scratches, and itchy, you know, scratches and rashes, those kinds of things. I just don't want the extra makeup all over my face. Especially because, like, what if I want to wear something white? It's just, it's more, there's more potential for chaos there, and I can't. That being said, the Danessa Myricks Vision Flush in Toasted Almond. I kind of flip between Toasted Almond and Nutcracker, but Toasted Almond is just chef's kiss. So freaking stunning. I love it. I love the way that it wears on the skin. I love the way it blends out. Honestly, flawless product. No complaints. Okay, so from talking too much, I'm just gonna apply my lip product right now, just so that I don't completely shrivel up and die in the mouth area. So as I was saying, you know, I love REM Beauty, and the last chapter launch, chapter 3, I can't remember the titles of the chapters, but it was like a whole range of lip products, including these gorgeous lip oils, and I have the shade slash flavor. It's really more of just a flavor. It's clear raspberry drip. And I just think that the packaging is super cute and the formula is truly delightful. And I can't remember if I showed this last time, but it's got this like really interesting doe foot with this little teeny tiny metal ball. The ball doesn't move, but it just kind of like, it's very cooling on the lips, very soothing. It is a lip oil, but has that beautiful shine of a gloss. It feels wonderful. The raspberry scent of this one is not at all overwhelming. There's no flavor to it. And it's just, it is a beautiful lip oil. I have zero complaints. I really, really enjoy wearing it. I enjoy the application because of that very unique doe foot with kind of that pointed end and the little metal ball in the middle. It's just, it's cool, it's unique, and again, I'm not a packaging snob, but I really actually like the packaging, so I think it's cute. I like what she's doing, and maybe it's just because I'm a stan. I'm an RE stan, no shame. So for my eyes, what I have been doing lately is, again, kind of like really nothing new, but in terms of shade, I have been trying to do something new in terms of product, because I have so many beautiful products in my collection that just don't get enough use. And then again, like I said earlier, I end up with this like kind of irrational guilt for having things that don't get used. It's something that like is a holdover from my childhood, where I couldn't put my stuffed animals on a shelf without blankets underneath them because I would feel guilty going to bed in a comfortable bed and not having them go to bed on a comfortable bed. So it's that same mentality, perhaps the neuroses. Don't know. The point is, if I don't use products in my collection, I feel guilty. Just like I feel guilty about my guitar sitting untouched and unloved in the studio upstairs. Okay, so what I have been using on my eyelids and lower lash line for a little zzz, but also something pretty neutral. It is the Ritual Defy Ash and Ember Eye Soot in the shade Golden Age. Again, on the packaging front, I know there are a lot of people out there that aren't a fan of the packaging of these, especially if you have nails. I get it. You can't put your finger in there. It's kind of awkward with a brush, but I'm just gonna say that I don't have that problem. So I am dipping my finger in there and I am just going with a very easy, very relaxed style of application and just kind of buffing just that one dip all over my eyelid and kind of out into the corner. And if it ever gets a little like crazy, I just take my concealer brush and kind of wipe away any mistakes. But you know what? There aren't really mistakes in makeup because it's all just play. Our bodies are a canvas. And that's just one eye, you know? It is the one and done. And I'm gonna go in on the other eye. And I like this because it looks brown, but it has kind of this like greeny gold shift to it. So it does just add something a little bit different. Plus it's not a matte. It's not like, I wouldn't call this quite a shimmer. It's kind of more of a satin finish. Get some of that dimension. You get some of the interest with that color shift. It's just pretty. And it's a very comfortable formula. Like I don't feel it on my lids. Sometimes even with just, you know, regular powder shadows, I can feel them on my eyelids and I don't like it. I'm also not someone who like cares if something is gonna crease. I have creasy eyelids. It's just the way that my body was made, so I'm just not gonna get that fussy about it. Again, if it's my everyday makeup look, I'm at a desk in a basement sitting in front of a computer every day. It really doesn't matter that much. The makeup is just to kind of enhance my face, make me feel a little bit done up and ready for the day. And if I happen to look cute in the Zoom, then so be it. I am going to take my favorite little pencil brush here. This is the e.l.f. smudge brush, and I'm going to dip it into Golden Age and just run that along the lower lash line because, as we know, I really like a defined kind of darkened lower lash line. That's just me personally. You know, there are days where I will kind of not have any makeup on, just like a little bit of concealer and blush like I did today, and I'll still look at my eyes and be like, I actually think I need a little bit of darkness, a little bit of shadow, even though I just concealed the shadow away on my lower lash line. Make it make sense. That is just the aesthetic I am enjoying these days. On the eyeshadow front, that's really all I have been doing. If I want a little bit more dimension, a little bit more of an actual brown tone, I have been going in with my REM Beauty liquid eyeshadow, and this is the shade Asteroid. So it's kind of more of like a warmer toned bronzy, not quite a shimmer. Well, like, I guess maybe they would consider this a metallic. I don't know. It's just, it's very pretty. Once it's blended out, it ends up in that kind of same tone as the bronzer shade that I like to use. So it's very like natural on my skin. It's nothing crazy. And I'll just kind of put that sometimes on the lower lash line for, again, just like a little bit of extra kind of dimension, or on the center of the mobile lid. But I'm not going to do that right now because I like the way that the eyes are looking. Next up, as usual, is my mascara. I have gone back to the e.l.f. Big Mood Mascara because it's great. It gives you that hunky chunky lash. So you've got, you know, a bold lash if you're not necessarily doing a bold eye. I like a heavier lash even on kind of a lesser makeup day. It's just kind of one of my preferences. I either want big lashes or I just don't want to put any mascara on at all. You know, like I don't really, personally, there is no point for the halfway mark. It's either big hunky chunky lashes or just my lashes as they naturally occur on my face. But before we zoom through my lashes, let's just kind of touch back on this idea of expectations. As I was saying, for me personally, my kind of recalibration of my expectations is occurring in my professional life and my personal life, but very specifically in my romantic life. And I think maybe, you know, we end up, and I was kind of saying something along this line earlier, is we end up with such low or such poor expectations because we end up becoming used to a certain way of life or a certain way of treatment. And when you stall out on that playing field or that plane of existence, I don't want to say that we become hopeless, but we definitely become complacent. So it's very hard to push your expectations into a realm beyond that. Because why would you expect something different? Because I'm just used to being treated this way, or I'm used to behaving this way, or I'm used to, you know, receiving these things from the universe. But hint, maybe it's actually not from the universe. Maybe the world is just reflecting back at you what you've been putting out because you've set that bar of expectations so low. Not saying it's your fault, not saying it's my fault, but there is such a thing as free will. I believe that, you know, we are the designers of our own destiny to a certain extent. So why not take the opportunity when it feels right, when it feels necessary, to kind of flip that switch, turn the table, let the other shoe drop, and completely change your expectations. Come out the gate swinging with the highest expectations for how you exist in the world, how you should be treated, the kind of things you want to be receiving, how people engage with you on a personal or professional level, the way that you exist in, you know, your familial or platonic or romantic relationships. Sometimes it kind of takes a shift in the tides. I am using so many metaphors. Apologies for anyone who gets upset about a mixed metaphor because you're all over the place. Anyways, sometimes it does take a shift in the tide, whether that is a universal shift or whether that is just unconsciously you've repositioned yourself to allow for something different to happen. Sometimes it takes a catalyst like that to kind of change your perspective on what to expect. And that could be something as simple as someone being very kind to you in an unexpected way, someone being very attentive to you in a very unexpected way. And at first, if you're like me, that can be very off-putting. It can leave you feeling a little uncertain because, again, if you're used to being treated or you're used to existing in a certain way, someone's behavior, while very positive, if it's different from what you're used to, if it's different from what you were expecting, you have to figure out how to respond to that. And sometimes it will make you cringe. It will make you back away. You will have a visceral bodily reaction to it, but that might be a trauma response. So it's kind of unlearning how to exist in relationships, how to move about in your body, in the world. And again, take time to reevaluate. Have those moments of observation on what's going on in your life and what's making you feel good and what's making you not and what could be improved upon. And again, personally, all of a sudden I'm existing in a few spaces where I'm like, oh my God, not only do I deserve this and realize that I deserve this for maybe the first time in my entire life, in my entire 32 years, but this is now where the bar is on expectations. The bar has been raised. So moving forward, if 5 years down the road I'm in a different job, these are my expectations for how my work is acknowledged, how I am treated in the workplace regardless of age or gender or whatever. Socioeconomic status, blah, 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 the list goes on. Or, oh my gosh, for the first time, like this is the new expectation in a relationship, like you care about my food allergies? Yeah. The attitude is you damn well better care about my allergies. I can't change who I am. Obviously, again, very personal experience here, but I'm just saying, I had a light bulb moment And it might seem so trite, so minute, so maybe silly, but for me personally, having this realization that there is actually a whole other plane of existence that maybe many people in my life have actually been participating in, and I've been over here in area X and they've all been over here enjoying the sunshine, and I was stuck here because I had a certain set of expectations. See what I did there? Now I get to move because my expectations are changing. My perspective on so many things are starting to shift, and it's kind of mind-blowing. Like literally you can feel your mind expanding when that kind of thing starts to happen. Like the synapses start firing in a completely new way. You start seeing things in a completely new light. Your heart patters at completely new things. You feel yourself smiling at things that you didn't maybe think were possible, or you feel your chest warm and your belly warm at being acknowledged for something that, you know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you may have completely shied away from and not decided to take any credit for. That's that on that. If you are following where I'm trying to go, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, I hope that maybe you too are in that place of like reevaluating your expectations. And if you're not quite there yet, we're really only halfway through the year. Again, I know time is moving at an absolutely blinding pace, but it is never too late to kind of change where you sit on how you expect your life to go, how you expect to be treated, how you expect to move about in the world. We get to make those decisions for ourselves. And if people don't meet our expectations, if we don't meet our own expectations, that's a whole other thing actually, because not meeting your own expectations might just mean that you have some prohibitive perfectionism going on. But there's also nothing wrong with setting goals. There's nothing wrong with kind of moving the bar on your personal expectations, because we should hold ourselves to high esteem. We should engage in, I think, some pridefulness sometimes. That doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, we're all gonna walk around with air balloon sized egos. No, but we should take pride in who we are and how we exist in the world, and, you know, the things that we're putting out into the world and the universe, and the way that we participate in society and in our lives. If you are not proud of yourself on a daily basis or even a weekly basis, because, you know, sometimes we might not be proud, we might not reach our own expectations every day. Shit happens. We all hit a wall. We all hit rock bottom, but we should be proud of who we are. And I think a part of that pridefulness in ourselves and our places in the cosmos comes from setting a certain amount of expectations. And again, that all is tied directly back, I think, to self-love, self-worth. If we don't value who we are, the world may not value who we are. Okay, I need to take another sip of water, and then we're gonna zoom through lashes, because no one really wants to see me do a slow-mo lash. It's gonna take 45 minutes, right? Okay. Okay, lashes are done. I didn't really go for like the hunkiest, chunkiest lash, but I'm satisfied with this for what it is, for, you know, the everyday look. Next is blush, and I'm quite excited, and I'm actually flushing a little from talking, so like I almost don't need to put on blush, but I'm so excited about this product. Of course I bought it. To my surprise, it's a powder blush, but it is the new RMS Beauty Redimension Hydra Powder Blush. And this is the shade Pomegranate Fizz. Like, look at that color. I love the design. It's like a significant amount of product, 7 grams, which means I'm gonna be using this for like eternity. This is hard panning on me a little bit, and again, I want to blame the Kapari. I love the color. I love the formula, and I have literally been wearing this every day. I almost don't think that I have picked up another blush since I got this. So That's saying something because I have a tendency to bounce around with my various blush products. It's so pretty. And it's like a reasonably sheer formula. So if I, you know, rub my finger, sorry I keep giving you the middle finger. If I rub my finger in it, like I can get a significant amount of pigment, but when you blend it out, like it blends so beautifully, which I really appreciate because, you know, sometimes I might want like a blushier cheek, but it is also nice to kind of be able to build up to that rather than having to like backtrack if you put on too much. And it is like a highly blendable formula, so if you kind of do stamp a little bit too much, you can knock that back pretty easily. I like it. I did kind of like stamp a little bit too much on this cheek, but whatever. It's beautiful. I got another shade. I can't remember which one it is. It's more of like one of the orangey tones. So beautiful. I have been taking this with me everywhere. Like literally, I take this little blush brush and this compact and stick it in my little backpack, and it's with me everywhere. Because blush is the first thing on my face that kind of disappears and gets a little messy. I always touch my face. I always rest my hands on my cheek. Blush is always disappearing. So this has been coming with me everywhere. I love it. Last but not least is just a touch of powder because again, we're dealing with hot, humid summer weather, just humidity in general, even in the depths of the basement here. And the powder that I have been using, I think it's like my only powder right now, it is the Cheekbone Beauty Mattifying Moon Dust Translucent Powder. Comes in this metal tin, and I think I mentioned this before, it kind of smells like the Rockets, like rocket candy, which is an odd choice for a fragrance. I think I would have preferred if there had been, that was too much, if there had been absolutely no fragrance, but whatever. We're gonna kind of get rid of that headlight there a little bit. This is not a matte all day type powder, at least not for me. It absolutely just kind of helps to knock down some of that really intense shine. And if you need to reapply throughout the day, it's not like terribly slim, but it's not the worst thing to have to bring around. And you don't always have to bring a brush. Sometimes I just dip my finger in that, or, you know, if you have like a teeny tiny little beauty sponge, you can just kind of do touch-ups as the day goes. But that is essentially my current everyday face of makeup, and I think it's nice. It makes me feel pretty, and if I feel like I want a little bit of a pop of color on my lips and the lip oil isn't, you know, the glossiness of it isn't doing it for me, I have been reaching for this Airy Perez Cocoa Crayon in the shade Wild. I'm pretty sure this is a relatively new product. It's beautiful, love it. Also end up sticking this in my purse or backpack constantly. But my only complaint is that it is a wooden pencil, but it's like a painted wooden pencil. So as I, like, after I sharpened it the first time, the paint is flaking off every time I put the metal cap on or take it off. And it's just, that sucks. Like, the natural wood would have been just fine for me. I don't know that we needed to paint it, but I understand and appreciate the aesthetic choice. That being said, I'm gonna just put on a little bit. Because I have the lip oil, it's going to give it a slightly different finish, but this is kind of more of like a matte lip crayon, which has some really nice staying powder. Not powder, but it's, this shade Wild is absolutely stunning. So I just put a little bit in the center of my lips there. Oh, God, paint everywhere. And then I'm just taking my finger, blending that out for kind of more of a tame, sheared effect. If I wanted the full effect of this color, I wouldn't go over top of a lip oil. I would have taken the lip oil off and gone all over my lips with the color, but as a whole, I think it's beautiful, feels great. Without a lip oil or lip balm underneath it, it's actually still very, very comfortable. And the matte finish is quite beautiful. So overall, I really like this. It's beautiful. And again, my only complaint is that they went for a painted wooden pencil rather than just leaving the wood alone because the paint chips. It's a little frustrating. Anyways, that that's it, guys. That's my current everyday face 2 years later. Such a long time. Obviously, I have been doing makeup almost every day since that first video, but I thought it was about time to show you guys what I've been doing. And I think it's cute. One last note on the idea of expectations. If you are existing in the world today and you are out there fighting a good fight, if you are creating art, if you are being kind and wonderful to your friends, if you know in your soul that you are being the best version of yourself that you can be in this moment, then where your expectations should be is at the level of the things you believe you deserve. I think as we get older, as we become better versions of ourselves, because we are not static creatures, we are dynamic, we are constantly changing and evolving. I would say on a second by second basis, probably on a millisecond by millisecond basis, there will always be a better version of ourselves in the future, and that version will always perceive a different level of things that they deserve, and the expectations will then shift accordingly. And I think that's okay. Like I said earlier, I think we need to come out the gate swinging and kind of have an expectation revolution. We need to start expecting more if we're not already practicing that. Expect more for yourself. Expect more for the world. And if things aren't meeting your expectations, you can actually do something about it. More often than not, even if it's just in teeny tiny ways. We don't have to move mountains. Sometimes we just have to move a grain of sand. Okay, with all that being said, I really tried to make a short video today, and I am pretty sure I did not achieve that, but you know what? It's fine. If you're here and you come here once weekly, I'm pretty sure you're not coming for a short. You're coming for a feature film, courtesy of mine. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. It really means so much to me that you're here and that you continue to be here with me on this journey. I hope that wherever you are having a spectacular time, and if you're not having a spectacular time, that is also okay. It's okay to not be okay, and things will get better. They always do. Okay, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.